Spurs being rubbish again. They can only manage a 2-2 draw away against Newcastle. They were 2-1 up for going into the latter stages of this game. Newcastle, though, getting the equaliser and thoroughly deserving of it as well. Nedum, Spurs, considering they've still got something to play for, they still could get into the top four, especially with Chelsea dropping points yesterday. But again, they just fall short.
Yeah, they really did. And to be honest, I think we would need to give credit to Newcastle. The fact that they were 2-1 down, they pushed and they pushed and they pushed. And overall, their football's been criticised a lot recently. But I thought they did well in this game and they took it to Spurs. And the Spurs side at the moment, it seems like one day they look a good side, the next day they look distinctly average. And I think it's a big blow for them because going into the game, knowing that you could be in the top four by the close of play should have been a big motive, as Frank would say. But unfortunately for them, they essentially didn't show up on such a big occasion. But I think it kind of shows between now and the end of the season, these games against teams who are down at the bottom are going to be tougher than a lot of people realise because it's desperate times down there and they need to get as many points as possible. So don't expect to get anything if you're not at your best. And Spurs today, in some ways, they're lucky that they came away with a point.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thing to say, considering, as I say, they had such a big opportunity to go in the top four.
That's the nuts thing, isn't it, Frank? As much as you want to credit Newcastle, good fighting spirit after what has been a horrible few months for them, for Tottenham Hotspur to be in a situation where they've very much got a chance to go into the Champions League, and this isn't the first time we've seen it this season, then conceding late in these sort of matches, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
It is, but they're not the only one, because we're going to talk about Chelsea also, and with so many other clubs that they have an opportunity and they miss it, and it seems to be to become an average team. Yeah. At the same time showing that the other team is becoming a great team. There is no consistency during this season for most teams, or maybe most of them, except maybe Manchester City and a little bit Manchester United. But otherwise, it's ups and downs for most teams. And it's funny that because Tottenham, we weren't very happy with the way they were playing, very defensively at the beginning of the season, but they were sticking to each other. They were working hard to each other. They were consistent in the way we didn't want to see them playing, but at the end of the day, they were having results and they were consistent. When they started to play offensively, they lost all those things. It became individuals were making the difference, and it happened today with Kane, and I will add Ndombele and Højbjerg today, and a little bit Lloris as well. But otherwise, the other players looked so poor. Yeah. Davinson Sanchez, it was like he lost his football, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, makes an average performance with a very poor result at the end of the day.
So far behind where they should be.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. As much as you want to credit Newcastle for showing good fighting spirit, I think that phrase almost suggests that Newcastle only started to play or take chances once they found themselves down. I thought Newcastle was the better of the two teams pretty much from the opening whistle. Gale should have had an open header, which he totally whiffed at, then brought a good save out of Lloris. This is before Newcastle even scored. And then Spurs equalised straight after through a Newcastle mistake. And as this game progressed, and I watched this game, the thing for me that stood out is despite Spurs having by far the better players individually, I thought this game was all about Newcastle. At times making mistakes defensively. That's a defence that has a mistake in them, and you saw that. And then going forward, I also felt that a lot of the times the strikers got in each other's way. So when they had good opportunities, they ended up being their own worst enemy. And this is a team that very well could have been out in the bottom three come the end of the weekend if results went that way. And now you take all that into consideration. Spurs players, Newcastle dominating from pretty much the opening whistle all the way through to the end. These two sharing the spoils. And you sit back and you have to ask yourself, did Steve Bruce just outcoach Jose Mourinho? Which, in a sentence, seems absolutely ridiculous to be even considering. But it's the truth. Spurs was just simply that poor. They were fortunate to get a point.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.